friends, I have a story to share today. Father's Day is coming up this month, so we're going to read Mr. Seahorse by Eric Carle. Mr. and Mrs. Seahorse drifted gently towards the sea. Through the sea, Mrs. Seahorse began to wiggle and twist this way and that. I wonder why she's wiggling. "It's time for me to lay my eggs," she said. "Can I help?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Oh yes, thank you," said Mrs. Seahorse, and she laid her eggs into a pouch on Mr. Seahorse's belly. "I'll take good care of our eggs," said Mr. Seahorse. "I promise." So Mr. Seahorse is going to hold all the eggs for Mrs. Seahorse. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a group of trumpet fish hidden beneath a patch of reeds. See the trumpet fish? A group of trumpet fish hidden in a patch of reeds. That's what they look like when they're not in the reeds. Before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Stickleback?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Delighted," said Mr. Stickleback. "I just built a nest, and right away Mrs. Stickleback laid her eggs in it. Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch. Keep up the good work," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam away. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a lionfish hidden behind a coral reef. There's the coral reef. We're going to move that so we can see Mr. Lionfish. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Tilapia?" asked Mr. Seahorse. Mr. Tilapia couldn't answer. His mouth was full of eggs. I know," said Mr. Seahorse. "Mr. Tilapia, Mrs. Tilapia laid her eggs, and now you're taking good care of them until they hatch." Mr. Tilapia nodded his head. "You must be very happy," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam away. So Mr. Tilapia carries all his eggs in his mouth. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by several leaf fish hidden among the seaweed. So the leaf fish are in the seaweed. Move the seaweed so we can see them. There they are. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Curtis?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Perfectly fine," said Mr. Curtis. "Mrs. Curtis laid her eggs, and I have stuck them on my head." There they are on his head. "Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch." "You are doing a good job," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam away. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a stonefish hidden behind a rock. Let's see if we can find the stonefish. There he is. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Pipe?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Couldn't be better," said Mr. Pipe. "Mrs. Pipe laid her eggs along my belly." See, all the eggs are along his belly right there. "Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch. You should feel very proud of yourself," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam away. All the daddies in the ocean are taking care of all the eggs. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Bullhead?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Tip-top," said Mr. Bullhead. Mr. Bullhead laid his eggs, and the eggs hatched. "Now I'm babysitting. You're doing a fine job," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam away. Look, all his babies have already hatched, and now he's watching them. The time had come for the Seahorse babies to be born. Mr. Seahorse wiggled and twisted this way and that. At last the babies tumbled from Mr. Seahorse's pouch and swam away. One baby turned around and tried to come back into the pouch, but Mr. Seahorse said, "Oh no, I do love you, but now you are ready to be on your own." The end. That was a great story you could share with your daddy for Father's Day. I just want to tell you that I love you, and I want you to have a great day. Bye-bye.